Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is a beautiful Sunday, May 23rd, 2021, and this is Fastball Sunday. And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Fastball Sunday. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck, and we have the usual weekly panel with Chris Veterans Veritas Semchuk, Fred Stockman, and coming along shortly, hopefully, Daniel Mezei. He was on set last week. Like I said, he was with us in spirit. Let's hope he's here in person this week. This week's topics probably going to include more of the C10 Farbal garb. Our minister has recently said that his intention with it, and not to mention other political blunders. So I'll open up the floor, gentlemen. More C10 garble. What do you guys think?
Well, if Fred's not going to speak, I'll speak first then.
I'm not a Canadian, mate. You guys go first. This is Canada.
Okay, well, for me, it's been one hell of a week in full support of the veterans community and especially my tight veterans community. And I'm exhausted. The government's exhausting me. Veterans Affairs is exhausting me. I've been on a 4-year mission to try to get help from my local MP in Kingston and the Islands of the name Mark Garrettson. I call him King Mark. It's out there in the universe. Had a lot of help from people lately on that one. So that gives a little bit of context. Mm-hmm. So as that relates to C10 and this current government, what I have to say about C10 is I will be marching on my channel as Veterans Voice Chris Semchuk, Veterans Voice Veritas, doing interviews, unmonetized, trying to stay relevant on this platform of YouTube. Because go ahead and try to take out a veteran talking about history and heritage and interviewed veterans on the platform. Fine. The law passes, it'll suck. And I'll have to click a whole bunch as a content creator, a whole bunch of little stupid things for the algorithm to read. That's the zeitgeist. This government wants to control everything. Go for it. I'll just leave it at that for now. I mean, we can keep pissing in the wind and keep trying to fight against the government on all this stuff. Especially this government, they don't care. They don't listen. They say they care. They say they listen. They only care and listen to the people that they care about caring about, and they only listen to the people that they care to listen about, in my opinion. And anybody in Canada that doesn't see that about the Librano government of Canada that is currently sitting is blind. Exactly. Semchuk out. Over to you, Fred. Let's see what you have to say, Mr. Young Man from the United States of America. Fuck yeah. Freedom costs $1.05. Over to you, Fred.
I love what is it? What's that movie with the South Park guys? We were talking about this last week. Team America, yeah.
Team America, fuck yeah.
America, fuck yeah.
That song is hilarious. But I was thinking, C10 is this internet censorship bill, right? That's the one with
yeah,
if I remember. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
They've been trying to pull stuff like that in the US for ages now. Thankfully, I guess Ron DeSantis of Florida is trying to pass something. I don't know if he did or not yet, but you basically, if anyone is running a congressional campaign or running for office from the state of Florida, you can't censor their stuff on the internet. And if you do, any big tech company that does that will be fined $100,000 a month for doing so. So that's leadership. That's what we need to see. We don't need more internet censorship as far as big tech is concerned, or the government is concerned with censoring stuff. There's two problems here. You either have the government censoring people, or you have the major corporations and technocrats censoring stuff. Massive problem all the way around. I don't see it ending anytime soon. Unfortunately, we're too reliant off the internet. That's the problem. I mean, that's the ultimate lesson of it. I think people need to find other ways to do stuff. And yeah, so I'll leave it at that.
There you go.
Understood. Yeah, I agree. We're all addicted to the internet. We all appreciate the internet. Doesn't matter if it's via this or what we do here or smart TVs. We're all guilty of it. What gets me is any governing body that wants to regulate what you and I see and read and do is no different to the censorship they tried in the 1980s with certain novels. In high school, we were forbidden to read the book Deliverance because of the homosexual undertones in it.
Mm-hmm.
We've all seen the movie Deliverance. Fred, Chris?
No.
Fred's too young.
Also, I wouldn't care.
Yeah, well, see that's the thing, and it had nothing to do with anyone becoming gay or whatever. There's just a scene where a guy gets raped by another guy, and it was disturbing when I watched the movie.
It's still disturbing.
It's still disturbing, but it was about a bond between some grown men and their survival. And if you actually analyze the story, it's about kind of redeeming yourself from things, so it has really nothing to do with being gay or not gay. It's a matter of survival, whatever. And that was forbidden reading when I was in high school. Okay. But we also look now too, especially down in the United States, they try to ban To Kill a Mockingbird.
Ha.
That was mandatory reading in high school because it showed you the ignorance of racism and how good people can come together and get rid of it. And how not to be biased, how not to be judgmental. Harper Lee hit the nerve when you think about it. But of course, everyone's doing the whole woke thing and the whole woke culture. It's a con because you're still putting people in categories. You're not putting people as people. You're constantly putting people in categories. And it's no better than the Jim Crow mandates of the 1940s, 50s, and early 60s. So,
yeah, we never read To Killing Mockingbird in my school. They didn't allow it. And they also, instead of reading that, we read this absolutely awful book. I forget the name of it, but it was so stupid. It was about this. I mean, I'm nothing against the plight of Native Americans and stuff, but it was about that, and it was the worst book I've ever read. It was almost like a comic book. It was stupid, and it was degenerate, like a lot of the content. So it's interesting. I'm not against I'm not a free speech absolutist, so I'm not going to say like you can just go on the internet and do whatever you want. Like I think there needs to be some dignity laws. What I don't want is silencing people because of their political opinions. That's where I really draw the line. I'm not a fan of I think YouTube needs to be more strict. Like recently they banned, Steven Crowder, which is quite stupid because his content's pretty wholesome. But yet there's basically like softcore like pornography on YouTube. Like how is that not banned? So.
Oh, exactly. How many channels go through our feeds once in a while? And you're always seeing young girls gyrate bikinis or they're doing certain dances.
Yeah, that should not be allowed.
Right? Now that's a choice. I got nothing against anyone displaying their body or doing fine.
Yes, but
sorry, Fred, you got cut out there.
Sorry. Who is on YouTube for the most part? It's kids. So obviously it's young horny boys who are the audience for that. Let's be honest here.
You mean like you, Fred?
Yeah.
Sure, totally. Okay. Do you know who's that YouTuber? Was it Jake Paul, if I remember correctly? Or one of the ones. But every one of his thumbnails on YouTube had like a half naked woman on it. Like that shouldn't be allowed. That's not wholesome content. Okay, that's it, on YouTube. I don't know how that's not allowed, but certain political ideologies is voting like you can't have that on there. So it is interesting. We need dignity laws on the internet. Like you can't be, especially with YouTube, because so many kids use it and like TikTok. So you can't be like, I don't know. I'm not saying I'm like the Catholic Church here. Every woman has to wear a turtleneck, but like seriously, that's not good behavior.
No, I am really sorry, Fred. I need to disagree with that one because the problem, in my opinion, in society is that everybody wants to point the finger and say, "Oh, well, these companies need to this." No, it comes down plain and simple to personal responsibility and using this. And too many parents deflect and go, and parents, everybody, everything should be, okay, fine. Call me a crazy libertarian. Call me a crazy, whatever you want to call me. Call me whatever names you want. It comes down to responsibility. And in the childhood context, it comes down to parents taking responsibility of teaching their kids and watching what their kids are doing, and not,
I would agree with that.
I don't have a device in front of me, but devices have become the babysitter. And in the school context, devices have become the babysitter. Teachers aren't teachers anymore in a big way. It's the Google Classroom, and okay, here's your assignment. There you go. In Ontario right now with this lockdown, go and use Google Classroom, and the teacher anyway. Like, the internet is a powerful tool, and it's a conduit, and it's a utility, and it's an infrastructure, and there it is. Use it as you will. Don't use it as you will.
Well, it's
the government has no role. The government has no role telling anybody anything. And the thing about this Bill C-10, to get back to it, is like everything with this government since 2015, and every legislation that they've written, it'll be written horribly, just like medicinal marijuana being put in, all their legislations. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. We've got the viewers that are with us on this cast are amazing. They'll correct me if I'm wrong. Tell me one piece of legislation that's been put in since 2015 with this current government that has been written well. So Bill C-10 is going to be written. It'll be like 10 pages long, and it'll divert everything to the CRTC, which Fred, right? And Fred can attest to this in the States, because the same thing's happening in the States. And that's where the term deep state comes from. There's no conspiracy around that. All the deep state means is legislation comes in, right? The elected officials divert the government power, right, of actual legislative officials. They write legislation, and then it goes over to some sort of bureaucratic power or commission or some sort of regulatory body that does everything. Okay. And the CRTC in Canada is a joke. It's the John Tories. It's Rogers. It's how's John Tory working out for Toronto right now?
Exactly.
Okay, so that's the problem with Bill C-10. Forget about the way it's going to be written or anything. It's elected officials like my guy in Kingston, Ontario, who I launched a request, just a request. Hey, buddy, can I talk to you? June 8th, 2018. And it took 1,236 days for a guy who's supposed to just be able to help somebody navigate the bureaucratic system to even get back to me for help, to even talk to me. Guys like him diverting their responsibility to a regulatory body. That's what Bill C-10 is going to do.
Oh, it is. It is in many phases. And what gets me is, thankfully, we do have some hard-nosed conservatives in Parliament that are against it and putting up a restraint. What got me, though, is when Yves Blanchette had the audacity to say this law must pass. Yet he failed to realize, too, it doesn't matter if you're a federalist or a separatist or a hardline French-speaking Canadian or not. It's going to affect everybody. In the province, just the same as it is going to affect anyone in Charlottetown or Nunavut or Point Pelee or Vancouver Island. Canada-wide, it's going to affect everybody. And to the actual Quebec separatist who voted for Yves Blanchette and his party, it's going to affect them too. And that's what gets me, is that you're not going to protect any culture by proposing any kind of censorship bill. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're censoring a local newspaper or a children's book or the internet here in Canada. And you hear all the arguments about, well, this company doesn't pay its fair share, or this company doesn't pay this. Who the fuck cares?
That's smoke and mirrors. That's all fluffy language to hide.
Who cares if Google's rich? Who cares if Twitter's rich? Who cares if Facebook's rich? Fine. whatever. That's not the point. The point is that you, me, Fred, his network, my network, your network, and so on, is going to be constantly being slapped with some kind of license agreement or some kind of censorship clause or another rule here, another rule there. 10 pages of legislation becomes a goddamn Encyclopedia Britannica for the mundane and the elitist controlling crowd. Yeah, that's what it is.
I would disagree with you guys about just people, because I understand personal responsibility, of course. Like, I'm not going to, if I ever have children, I'm not letting them have a phone until they're at least 18. I'm not, you know, I just wouldn't allow them to be around computers, iPads, etc., because I think the internet's a dangerous place. But there is basic legislation, I think, that would make sense as far as, like, you can't just go into a pub and start and like get alcohol, right? There's a drinking act, you know, you can't just go to a strip club and say, oh yeah, I'm gonna come in this at the age of 16. You can't do that. So there's rules around that kind of stuff. I don't understand why the internet, for some reason, is mutually exclusive from, or sorry, not mutually exclusive, just exclusive from these type of things. You know, I think the same about like pornography on the internet. I think it should be censored. I think honestly, it would help the Western man if it was banned. But if we can't do that, at the minimum, it should at least be. There's got to be a way to like keep it away from children. Because I'm sorry, they will find a way. Now, even if they have a phone, they're going to find a way. Let's just be honest about it. So, I would say yes, personal responsibility is part of it, but basic rule of law that we already enforce would make sense. Like, why can't these other various laws to other stuff apply to the internet? Mm-hmm. That's what I don't understand.
Well, I can understand you can't say hateful things like when it comes to different ethnicities. That's just couth, but that's also a test of your own character too, how you were raised in this day and age. We're in the 21st century now. We should be exploring other parameters rather than worrying about the old racist demon that keeps being thrown in our face all the time, right? We're supposed to be living in Western democracies that are supposed to be helping people so people can get along. I think we're the most privileged society on the planet when you think of it. All colors, all creeds. And yet there's always somebody who's lifting up a rock or turning every corner, looking for this, looking for that, when there's none. So it's basically about control. The last thing we need is control. Now, Chris and I, we can justify this by my time in the service. There's a certain amount of control there to keep the machine going, to keep the team coherent, to keep things alive, to get the job done. So if there is a war, we're ready to rock. If there's a peace support mission, we're ready to rock. If there's catastrophe or a mission that we're needed to help the general public, we're ready to rock. For those who live outside of that spectrum, they shouldn't be monitored, period, unless they committed a crime. If the guy or a gal are a bunch of weird pedophiles, my belief is this: have them shot. Problem solved. Done.
I don't think anyone that grooms children also either should be locked away with a key or shot. There's no excuse for that. And I would even go as far to say, oh, did you see this story? In America, PBS is now airing a drag queen story hour on their public broadcast. I'm not kidding. This is paid for by the American taxpayer. You can look it up right now. It's Little Miss Hot Mess or something like that. Drag queen. That's
funny. When you call someone a hot mess, it's meant to be an insult, not an educational point.
And yeah. So this is yeah. But I guess maybe a counterpoint to my own is that like the government is like full of degenerates anyway. So I guess any laws they're never going to make a law that says no, we're going to ban certain stuff on the internet as they like make a drag queen story hour on PBS. You guys are only like a year behind us. Let's be honest. It's going to happen in Canada.
Well, the thing I see, the thing I see going on right now with the North American scenario is everything that's happened in Canada since 2015 is mirrored in what's going on with the Biden administration now. Okay.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be advanced in the States. Like the playbook that happened since 15 in Canada is happening in the States. Is it not? Take every single measure that Trudeau's done in 15 and it's happening lockstep in the exact same sequence with Biden down there. That's a little maybe a little project for this cast, possibly. Fred, how about you do some research on what Trudeau's done up in here in 15?
I mean, the gun control thing is one thing that was last year. I mean, Biden wants to enforce some massive gun control legislation. Biden also wants massive migration to Canada, like Justin Trudeau. I mean, those are the two things I can think of off the top of my head. I don't know, man. Justin Trudeau is a globalist puppet, and I know this sounds like nuts, but the amount of dirty money in politics right now, there's no way these people are naturally put it this way, politics is an illusion. It's just meant to distract you guys as people move money behind the scenes. So Justin Trudeau really, yeah, sure, he's your prime minister, right? But he didn't get there in a normal way. He wasn't really, sure, he was elected, yes. But there's been massive operations to get the Canadian people and the American people to vote for complete idiots who are nowhere nearly qualified to be leaders of our countries. Massive manipulation, massive changing of rules and regulations with American politics. I'm not going to say anything further, else this will get banned. But yeah, it's all very, very interesting. It's funny. They try and same in New Zealand. The globalists try out stuff in New Zealand and Canada first, and then they try it in America and Australia next. So it's all fascinating.
And isn't that why maybe our conservative leader of the Conservative Party of Canada right now, Mr. Not So Cool O'Toole, is pushing Canuck?
Maybe.
I would see Canuck being beneficial when it came to trade and commerce.
Yes, of course. Yeah, of course.
That's my point with Canuck. The trade and commerce, and let's say the immigration idea. Let's say you and your single get sick and tired of living in your area, and yet let's say the housing market in Melbourne goes right down, and you can afford something. Fuck, Canuck would be a blessing. Pick up, go, and move. I could go see my relatives in Britain. Stay there for more than 3 months, if need be, if I could find meaningful work. My wife and I, we could pick up, let's say, to New Zealand. Hey, why not?
Why not? But that's not what it's about,
But no, of course not, because it's going to be because O'Toole, instead of abolishing the carbon tax like he said he was going to, let's have a carbon saving account. So, Chris, if you want that green bike, we can do it for you. And Fred, you want to visit Canada, we can give you energy efficient windows. Yay. For the low cost of an extra $25 a month in your heating bill.
Yeah.
And not to mention $25 more a tank if you're driving a fair sized vehicle, right? Not to mention, other things you got to shell out and pay out because the environment is just going to explode and we're all going to die in 12 years, according to AOC.
Outside of the climate change thing, I think Canuck, and you can say what you want about this, and I don't really care if I'm called a racist or whatever, but the UK has way too many migrants in its country. They are out of control. Okay. Australia and New Zealand have been very, very responsible with migration.
Yeah.
They have taken in very, very few migrants from the third world. They keep their neighborhoods safe, and it's not there's not like ghettos. You know what I mean? The only place, unfortunately, is I think it's in Sydney. There's neighborhoods that are just Muslim neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Can't walk. Yeah, it's ghettoized. The trouble is that happened before they started making these stricter border laws, in the last 10 years. So really, honestly, guys, I don't care who you are. You can't be bringing massive amounts of people into your country, and the UK is gonna not be.
Well, you need the support for it too.
Yeah,
you need to support them. Let's say if there's a disaster, let's say a third world country came across a devastating earthquake and it killed thousands upon thousands. And in order to reach out and help those people less fortunate, you have to come up with a plan. I know every democratic country has a plan for aid. Okay, America does it, Canada does it, Britain does it, Australia, New Zealand, all the working democracies always has a plan for aid. Look what happened when they had that tidal wave in 2004 in Indonesia. The amount of aid that came.
What I'm against is bringing, just because, first off, the American government created the Syrian civil war. We literally started funding. We started funding a group of terrorists that hated Assad and then became ISIS. So we're such idiots in this country. Honestly, we need to just stay out of foreign politics.
Well, it'll be the same thing with the Taliban and Al Qaeda too that we encountered in Afghanistan.
But I really, and you can call me conspiratorial on this, but I think it was intentional. I think it was intentional because I wanted to destabilize Europe. Because Europe right now is on the verge of like serious destruction. Look at France. Look at France. The police, the military, all these guys are saying that there's going to be a civil war soon. You know, because they can't assimilate people into their countries.
Okay.
And have all this woke BS going on.
It's not okay. Assimilation is not a good word because it is an assimilation. Nobody ever assimilates. The American melting pot concept is a better word. The best word is integration. You come to Canada before Trudeau put in official multiculturalism and started spending Trudeau Senior, Pierre Elliott Trudeau, the great, right?
The great himself.
At least Johnny Cash had some class when he did it. Okay. Before Pierre Elliott Trudeau and his cronies all instituted official multiculturalism. There's nothing wrong with multiculturalism. Canada is a mosaic. We're multiculturalism. Okay, there's nothing wrong with multiculturalism. We're a multicultural country. That's what we're built on. But dividing and conquering by funding and giving people money for that stuff is ridiculous. Integration, right? You come to the country, you're welcome here. Work hard, play hard, prove yourself, help build the country. Live your heritage, love your heritage, and be Ukrainian like my family, or other families, but you're Canadian. That's what Canadians did. That's what our heritage is here. That's all been gone since whenever, I don't know. I don't remember when official multiculturalism, it started degrades ever since then. Now we bring immigrants in, they come in and they balkanize and they go to their neighborhoods and they all collectivize together there and they just keep living their lives and they don't even care about they don't even know what Canada is. What is Canada? It's the maple leaf flag and that's it. And it's Canada Day, which might as well be Canada Dry. Like, what does Canada Day even mean? Victoria Day weekend, this gorgeous weekend, everybody calls it May 2-4. Well, let's drink some beer. And Canada doesn't mean anything anymore. So,
well, the thing with our history, too, it's like, regardless if you agree with the monarchy or not, it was a founding principle of this country. And a lot of people forget, too, that it was also a lot of the first French Canadians that were the founding principle of this nation, too. And prior to the plains of the Battle of Abraham, there was a unilateral understanding towards the fur traders, the coureurs de bois, the English settlers, as well as the French settlers, not to mention the Métis nation that was starting to build up because of the previous coureurs de bois, the old fur traders, right? People forget that there's interlacing links in between the French Indian Wars that happened in colonial America well before the American Revolution. So you can look at all that start there,
all
too.
of it. And people forget about that history is messy and like, the First Nations are peaceful. No, they're not. Right? And all of it, it's all messy. Anyway, history's messy.
We could go on for hours about the unsurmountable violence that happened well before Christopher Columbus ever came to North America. How about the violence that happened well before the Vikings came to Newfoundland? We don't know. We'll have to look into other archives. Talk to First Nations. What were the stories you were taught as children? What were your parents taught, your grandparents taught about the wars over here well before Whitey came to picture?
Yeah.
I'm sure there's many of them. The Aztecs have had a history of bloody ritual violence and sacrifice.
Guess what? It's called human nature. Humans are evil and good.
Exactly.
And guess what? When we don't like each other or we come to blows, we end up killing each other.
Mm-hmm.
Black, white, yellow, orange, red, green, purple, rainbow. It doesn't matter. When we don't like each other and shit goes bad, we end up doing evil and nasty things to each other. And guess what looks like happening all over the world right now because of all these divisions.
Okay.
Multiculturalism was a bad idea.
Exactly. Yeah. Good job, Fred. You're exactly
the way
right
that it was promoted, yes, I would agree with that too. You walk downtown Toronto and you see tons of cultures. Kensington Market, the hub of culture in Toronto, Canada's major city, right? I don't know what the hub of culture is in Montreal. But I remember when I saw Montreal, you're seeing a wide mix of people. And it wasn't an issue of who spoke this or who spoke that. People went about their business, did their thing. And that's the thing. When you watch Team Canada play in the Olympics, and I remember that feeling in 2010 when Sidney Crosby got that goal. Wow. There was a hint of unification right there, not just because it was our game, it's because it was a fun time.
Exactly.
You know? It was a fun time, and we don't need a hockey game to remind ourselves of that. We don't need a hockey game. It doesn't matter if we beat the Americans or beat the Russians or beat the Czechs. It doesn't matter. That was a fun time when the country was united. Canada was kicking ass and taking names those Olympics. And we weren't snooty about it. We weren't assholes about it. We didn't go around saying, oh, we're number one. We're number one. It's like, yeah, look what we did. Now, if we can unify our country on something as simple as a game, why is it so difficult to get these politicians to start thinking about the repercussions of their choices and their decisions and their actions?
They'll never experience it, mate. They have so much money. It's not your neighborhood that's getting multiculturalized, right? Well, it's not their neighborhood that's getting multiculturalized. It's yours. It's mine. It's not that I hate these people that are doing. I mean, it sucks that the third world's broken, but it's not my fault. And why do we have to take the responsibility for this? And I just don't understand. Like, multiculturalism hasn't worked in Europe. It's not really working anymore in America. We just had race riots all of the summer of 2020.
Yeah.
Like, there's obviously something deeply wrong in our society. Now, I'm not some white nationalist that's like, I hate all people of a race. No, I don't. I actually really love people of different races. My family is a lot of my family members are black. Okay. For starters, I forget what percentage I am. My grandfather was mixed race. Despite, it's like if it doesn't work, why do we keep trying? That's what I don't understand.
Because it's some sort of a mythical UN amazing pie in the sky concept. A utopia. The communist
Star Trek's
dream.
a great story. Well, I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Karl Marx, great fiction writer.
Yeah. Yeah, man. The thing is, let the dust settle. Keep riding the big wave of this discontent, this divide and conquer that's going on right now. Okay, this I don't even know what to call it. Like, I'm just surfing the pipe, riding the wave, trying to stay above all the political rancor and everything, trying to lead by example the best I can. Live the best life I can, prepare, growing gardens, learning how to build skills again, learning how to do the woodworking again, learning how to survive again, learning how to go out and use a map and compass again, like all the hard skills away from a computer and away from a screen, right? And learn how to hunt, fish, all these things I all know how to do, and I've done my whole life. Just disconnect, stay away from the screen, do these things over the summer, build the hard skills that we need in life as men, as women, as a society, and as a community, because the computer is not going to be your friend. It's not going to help you. The government's not your friend. Engage, be politically active, try to fight the system. But at the end of the day, none of that's going to do anything. The government's not going to do anything for you.
Exactly. Justin Mears says every culture has a barbaric history. It wasn't easy getting here. Exactly. And we're fortunate in Canada. We didn't have a lot of civil strife as to our friends in the United States did, or as our forefathers did in France and or Britain. So, the closest thing in Canada ever came to a civil war was the Upper Canada Rebellion in the 1830s. And
October Crisis, 1970 came pretty close too, right?
That came close too, right? So those are two situations, I think, in our history that could have resulted in something heinous. right? Upper Canada Rebellion in the 1830s. We were still technically just a colony. We
It
weren't,
was a very polite
you know,
rebellion.
sorry?
It was a very polite rebellion, you know.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I think there might have been 7 casualties tops,
Yes.
but there was a
So-
turnaround. The Governor Bonhead realized, okay, we better start showing some actual fairness to our farmers here because they're making us money. So we're going to make the roads better and make sure that they have the means to get to market. October crisis, okay. You know, Pierre Trudeau decide, okay, well, I'm going to bring in the War Measures Act. You guys want to fuck around? Okay.
Yeah.
Fuck around and
But-
find them.
But then he sent them to Cuba, and then I don't know, something else happened in Cuba too. I don't know.
Trudeau's dead.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'm sorry, but that conspiracy theory is so funny.
well, it's the. Hey, why was Pierre Elliott Trudeau's file expunged by CSIS? So how much of a conspiracy theory is it? And because that isn't a conspiracy theory, that Pierre Elliott Trudeau's file was expunged by CSIS. That was.
I have a question for you though. Does it matter if his dad is Fidel Castro?
Why? Does it or doesn't it? Yeah.
Does it? It doesn't really matter.
No.
It just proves that his mum's a whore. That's all. It doesn't. It's like does it actually?
Yes, your mother's a whore.
Your mother. That was a good Sean Connery. I like
Yes,
Mark Dietz's. I like
Yes.
Mark Dietz's comment because that's very true. It's a war of the mind, and we're at World War III by other means right now. And if people don't start waking up to that fact, then because it's a fact,
You know?
it is.
Well, that's the thing. You know, they're fighting. We talked about the censorship issue, and veterans' plight and seniors' plights, and it's a matter of priorities. And then when you question any of these authority figures, you're deemed as an extremist or as a white nationalist. You know.
White nationalist.
Oh God, yes.
Bro,
Oh,
I
I
know
miss.
so many, and I'm not even making this up. I know quite a few extremists. They're not what you think. They're just like average dudes, and I know like crazy like far left ones, and I know like neo-Nazis. But they're not like out there trying to like kill people all the time. They're not crazy. I mean, they're bad. Like I don't like their opinions, but they're just like normal dudes. They just go to work and they do some nutty stuff on the weekends. That's what it is, you know. And there's a reason why they do it. It's because they got failed by the system. You know, the two groups of people that really got failed by the American system ultimately. You know, and you can call me whatever you want on that. I don't really care. I did a video on it that basically the American government failed its own people. That's why you have extremist groups. You wouldn't have extremist groups if this country was normal. You know.
Well, exactly. You nailed it in the head there too. It's just there a couple of weeks back when, of course, Mayor Nenshi from Calgary said on global television that, oh, these people don't need to eat. They don't need to do this. They're just white nationalists, anti-vaxxers and anti-maskers. Oh, my God, how dare they? And I'm thinking, okay, here's a mayor that turned around and tried to punitively destroy a pastor for feeding the homeless. Okay. Here's a guy that was elected based on the woke mandates, not because he was qualified how he can lead a city to victory. Because anybody who's living in Calgary right now, who worked in the patch, who has had prosperity before, and based on all these guidelines and health restrictions, I'm sure they'll beg to differ that it wasn't a white nationalist freedom rally. It was a Canadian freedom rally.
Exactly.
And you look at all the footage of doesn't matter if it's from Rebel or True North or even the mainstream media, you look at the mix of people that are in these rallies. You've got Christians, you've got Jews, you've got Muslims, you got some with masks, some without masks. You got people that are saying, okay, enough is enough of this garbage, right? And for him to sit on this tuffet of his and say, oh, it's white nationalism, really? And they don't need to eat. They don't need to go to work. They don't need to pay their bills. They don't need to set their goals for what they want. They don't need to live their lives to what they want to do, right? So, you know, you just dismiss it. Even Jagmeet Singh said the same thing too, right? He said the same thing just to save his job, to look like some kind of virtue icon, and he's not.
And Jagmeet's not a Khalistani nationalist or whatever. Anyway, it's just it's so ridiculous. All this finger pointing and all this color pointing and divide and conquer over race. And look, we're human beings first. In my opinion, the only way that this world is going to survive under this globalist agenda, like globalization is one thing, okay? We're a global economy, that right? But this globalist agenda, it's destructive. It's all cancel culture. We're human beings first, our nationality second, okay? And then all your other orders of identity that you place upon yourself that change over time and over age and everything are after that, okay? That's it. And thank God Nenchi's not running for Calgary.
He's going to retire in November.
Thank God. Guys, my back's seizing up. I got to check out on you. I'm sorry, everybody. Thanks for having me here tonight. It's great to be with you. I just want to close, though. Like the National Dream, right there over my shoulder. Good book, Pierre Burton. And anybody who hasn't read it should read it. The National Dream. Politics ruins everything. Crusty's a good man running for the VCP in Rainwright. If anybody can do it, he can. I'm out of politics. I'm done with it. Looking forward to being here on Sundays to talk about it, though, because it's important to engage in the discussion about politics. We need more people leading by example. This show is a place to do it. I like talking with Fred about it because he brings a nice, fresh, young perspective and from the States. Thanks for hosting, Crusty. Thanks for having me here. Hopefully we have ADM back next week. Yes. Everybody enjoy the Victoria Day Monday weekend. And thank you very much. Take care, everybody.
All right. See you, Chris.
See you, Fred.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Chris Semchuk, Veterans Veritas, one of our panel guests here on the Fastball Sunday. Please feel free to ask myself or Fred any questions. I'm hoping Adam would show up soon. I got no feedback from him just yet. Maybe he's still on set. I don't know. But he might make an appearance, hopefully, at the end of the show. Anyway, it was myself, Crusty Canuck, and Fred Stockman here on the Fastball Sunday. A lot of questions are coming in, too. Let's see. Jay DeRoche's Gladiator. I think he knows what Rome is. Rome is the mob. Conjure magic for them, and they'll be distracted. Breads and circuses. Take away their freedom, and they still roar. The beating heart of the Rome is not the marble of the Senate. It's the sand of the Colosseum. He'll bring them death, and they will love him for it. Yes, constantly entertaining. Breads and circuses. Unfortunately, I think we're waking up to that fact. Bread is a good thing. I can make my own bread, and we can create our own circuses. We don't need the big brother of government to do it for us. Fred.
Government and private corporations work together in not just like psyops and stuff like that, but if you want to talk about like sports and entertainment and stupid crap that keeps people occupied, and yeah, they do that. I mean, look at social media. It's distracting for a reason. Definitely designed by people who know how gambling addiction works to some extent. So that's kind of how they keep you wrapped up in it. But the government's not just making you dumb down with the social media, the real media, sports and all that. They're doing, they're putting chemicals in your food and water, making you more docile, making you more fat, all this kind of stuff. So it's best to start growing your own food, folks. I'll try to do that soon. I try not to. I try to eat decently healthy. I'm doing a good job at it. But yeah, that's just some stuff to make yourselves prepared.
True enough, yeah. Self-sufficiency. It's like I've said in my show numerous times too. There's schematics you can find online. Create your own power and electricity for your own home. The question is, you can have all the tools you need to do that. However, it's municipal government and state and provincial governments alike that want to step in and stop that because it's a monopoly, right? To stop the carbon footprint, this is stuff they told us back in the late 80s. Plant a couple of more trees. Fine. You can go to any greenhouse. I'm sure down in Massachusetts too there, Fred. Any greenhouse, get a couple of pine trees or coniferous trees, plant them in your yard. Voila. carbon footprint stopped. Natural filters.
Your carbon footprint. I forget what the math is, but I read this report. I forget. I got to find this. If I can find it, I'll send it to you. But it's basically at the mathematical level. If every person planted X number of trees, I forget what it was probably like I think it was in the 70s or 80s, it would displace their carbon emissions for like most of their life or something like that, or a certain number of years, like a significantly long time. The only thing it really wouldn't offset is like, depending on where you live, of course, but your car's emissions. But even that, it's still not that much. Find 50 seeds, go plant them out in some field. You've displaced your carbon emissions. It's not that complicated. Yeah, but climate change is only, like when they make views over this kind of stuff, it's only to get more money from you. They're never actually going to put it towards climate change and stuff like that, because all that money goes to is just right into the elite's pockets. It's never, none of the stuff they actually do will, factually speaking, help the environment. They use also very precise language when they talk about this stuff. Instead of using global warming now, they use climate change, because climate change at the legal level, let's say you say you don't want to pay taxes for global warming, right? Back in the day, let's say they were going to do that, right? Now you can't really say this is immoral because it's climate change. It's not global warming. So anything can be climate change. Any freak weather event possible can be climate change. It's such a broad range of things. They use very broad language with everything nowadays, anyway. So I'm sure the same thing is in that C10 law. I haven't read it, but I'm sure the language is very broad, as most legislation is now, just to keep themselves away from any legal liabilities and such.
Oh, of course. Now, Justin Mears says, don't force cultural change. Just let it happen naturally. Exactly. Look at the culture shift and dynamic when fossil fuels were discovered, right? And look how many years it took for people to realize that some of it was polluting. So they came up with innovations of ways for it to burn cleaner rather than traditional wood fire, coal fires that were used since the Industrial Revolution. Fine. There are ways we can burn things without hurting everything. It's just a matter of researching it properly rather than having token so-called know-it-alls that promote and use biomass to justify their claims, because biomass is nothing but glorified burning too. It just happens to be dead things you burn. You're still burning something, but that's the thing. So even Seamus O'Regan was on the other day. I don't have a link to that, ladies and gentlemen, but you look up CTV News, and Seamus O'Regan had a conference. He was basically discussing how Labrador incurred some really record low temperatures this past winter. Okay, and so did good parts of the country, so did good parts in the northern United States. But in the same sense, if you're going to have those record low temperatures, how can you very well sit there and say that the ice caps are melting?
Al Gore said 20 years ago, didn't he?
Yeah, said 2013 they were going to melt, and yet,
what an idiot.
Well, it's just incorporating fear. Incorporating fear. That's all it is. I don't believe, I believe there might be some changes, but that's the point we're going to be dead in 12 years. If we do die in 12 years as projected, it'll be because someone's going to press a red button or red buttons somewhere. Okay. Or we might get an invasion, if you believe in that sort of thing, or a visit. Well, who's to say? But
I think it might be a little bit of a visit, if you know what I mean. Get a little that multiculturalism from space, I think if you want to talk about aliens, look up the Vril Society, everyone. Go read about that. Those are the aliens. It was a Nazi cult, because every conspiracy is with the Nazis, of course. But it's probably the most fascinating one. It was this cult of these German women, and I think a few men too, but they all kind of worshipped the sky, basically, and they thought they were in contact with a race of people from another planet. And if you see some of their drawings and plans, they intended to make UFOs. Like, they literally drew out designs for we like those disc kind of shaped saucers, what you want to call them. So it's pretty interesting. Go have a read about that, folks. I can actually, I'll send you a link, Crusty.
Sure.
I gotta find this.
Okay.
There's a good documentary on it too. I watched. I forget the name though.
Well, Jay DeRosier says human beings are the true carbon footprint. They want depopulation, climate change, and global warming are myth. I would say, yeah. I'm not saying things aren't changing for the bad. Um, I've seen weather's changed in my lifetime, but not to a point where it's going to be as devastating as projected or what's being rammed down our throats. Let's see, green energy. Green energy is more devastating to the environment than fossil fuels. Well, see, that's the thing. No one is telling us what exactly is green energy. We've heard hints and inklings of geothermal technology and wind technology, of course, but look at all those wind turbines that have caused devastation in their areas too, right? Solar works, but maybe 20% of the time. People forget there are parts of this planet that doesn't get as much sunshine as those nations around the equator. So you have to factor in that as well too. And I think solar cells can only, I think, captivate maybe 22%, or is it 23% of the energy they're supposed to captivate or capture. So that's the thing.
Send it to you on Facebook, the Real Society thing. There's a Wikipedia.
Okay.
Quite interesting.
GD other maker. At this point, bring on the aliens. We almost seem normal. Well, I would welcome it. Sure, why not? It's like, oh shit, I knew it. Yeah, they were around someplace.
The aliens are just the aliens are just German people. I'm gonna go full
Well, not to insult my German audience out there. No offense to my German listeners and fans. That's cracking a joke here. But needless to say, we can speculate, for hours at a time or days at a time, what's out there. I don't think, as the human race, maybe you were ready. I'm probably ready. Some of my family members would be ready to welcome a different race to the world. However, we have to look after ourselves, sort our messes out first before we worry about what's out in the universe.
Honestly, can we have that technology? The government has it. I just want to be able to fly so fast. Like you could fly from Boston to Melbourne, Australia in like 5 minutes tops. It'd be easy.
Oh, that'd be cool. That'd be cool.
That's how impressive this is. Like, okay, if you watch the videos of these saucers, right, on the Navy cams, they just drop right down. They don't even there's no heat signature. They just drop straight down. So man, it's crazy. I personally, I am cool with the aliens as long as they don't kill me. I'm all good with them. So they can do whatever they want. I don't think they're little green men. I think they're probably very, very human-like, or look very much like us. That's
more humanoid, if anything.
Humanoid. They're not.
Yeah.
That's kind of stupid.
They're not like Starship Troopers, the bug people and the skinnies, right? So
no, they probably look very much like humans if they do exist.
Can project that possibly, yeah. So Tommy Gunn says blue gas hydrogen. I've heard that rumbling. That's something to think about too. Like I said, geothermal. That's something we can tap into too. The thing is, it's such a market and a monopoly on people's utilities, right? So a lot of people won't let that go. What was that, Fred? Your mark cut out.
Geothermal is expensive, but I'll put it in before at something else.
Yeah.
But it does pay itself off if you have enough money. So.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. Ladies and gentlemen, please feel free to ask us anything like to know. This is Fastball Sunday. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck, and with me is Fred Stockman. We had Chris Semchuk there with us earlier, and hopefully Daniel Mezei might show up sometime soon. Now, we missed the guy. Where are you, Adam? We miss you, buddy. What's going on? I know he's been busy the past couple of weeks with some of his new work. However, there's always a spot here for Daniel Mezei and others too. If you care to join us sometime in the future, let us know. So, Jay DeRose says the UFO and alien life forms is the next fear porn agenda.
Why are we all afraid of this? I'm not afraid of.
I think you nailed it. Yeah, they'd be who. Next year, they'll find a cure for climate change, and then they'll say, well, it's because of people who live on the other side of the moon. You should fear. Yes.
Mate, the moon's hollow. You knew that, right?
It's like cheese. Come on. Everyone knows it's made of cheese.
I'm going to go full Alex Jones for a second. Okay, guys. The moon is made out of metal, and the CIA made it. Anyone that believes the moon is real is lying. Okay? It's not real. Government made it up. It's just a giant set piece. Okay.
Well, true enough. Yeah, you never know. That's the thing. It's getting more difficult to really believe any of the mainstream. And I welcome independent media outlets too. I welcome citizen journalists. I welcome Rebel News. I welcome True North, Daily Wire down in the States. Even PragerU, they've made some great videos and great headway lately too. I welcome Stephen Crowder. I welcome Ben Shapiro, Larry Elder. I don't mind. I don't mind Ben.
He's a
I
loser.
welcome Larry Elder. I welcome Thomas Sewell. All these intellects. So Julie Davis says they're already amping up the invasion story. Crisis after BS. Crisis after BS. Yeah, possibly. You never know what kind of demons they're going to dig out of the woodwork, or what kind of rock they're going to turn over and find something they disagree with. I just think a lot of politicians have lost touch with actual leadership. We all get the whole thing, power, absolute power corrupts absolutely. But in the same sense, they're not seeing the repercussions of their decisions. And the pots are boiling, folks. Pots are boiling. So, Jeremy Jackson, likes your impression there, Fred. Yes.
So,
yeah.
So here's the thing. I'm not going to say that.
Well, like I say, yes. Question everything. Your mother's a whore. Yes. So
Joe Biden, he's a body double. Okay, you can clearly see that. It's not
Joe Biden. Now, there's another thing too. He increased the tariffs on wood to 18%.
Yeah.
Right? Now, did he not give Trump a hard time while Trump was in office for giving the poor Canadians a hard time on the 9% tariff? Did he not do that?
I think he did for the steel, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
I'm not going to. I don't know.
But now it's increased to 18%. So now, to any Canadian who wants to buy lumber, has got to take out a small mortgage payment to do it.
You also get a firstborn child, and you have to hail Satan as you buy the wood. So it's actually
probably 3 of your fingers, right?
Yes, and you sell your soul to the Hollywood. That's how you get wood now. Yeah.
Exactly. Right.
Wood is really expensive in all seriousness right now. Like in America, you can't find it. All the lumber yards are like basically sold out. It's just ridiculous. Home Depot is like, it's not that the shelves are bare. There's wood there, but it's already sold. It's just in place. You know what I mean? It's nuts.
It's just it's hurting us both. It's holding both of our economies. Right? Julie Eva says, demons, Crusty. Don't give me ideas. Yes, little demons everywhere.
I want to see all the woke, virtue signaling. I'm not going to swear. I want to see all the woke pieces of crap just start wearing tinfoil hats because they're afraid of the aliens that are going to melt their brains. You know what I mean? I want to see them walking around with tinfoil hats, that's double masked, wearing a face shield as they go down the street. Because they're afraid of coronavirus still. That'd be hilarious.
We've had so-called medical experts tell us that it's good to wear 2 or 3 masks and use a hole. I think I mentioned this before. Right? So
that's weird. That is weird.
Yep.
This is like the UK where there's like weird sexual like hookup places. I really shouldn't know that, but there's like some. No, I don't want to get this banned off YouTube. I can't say.
No, I think we'll be okay. So, Jada Rose says, whatever happened with the falling Chinese spaceship? Everyone was warned to watch the skies. It hurt your theater. That's the thing. Where'd that story go? Right? Apparently, pieces of the rocket, I guess, fell apart and it plummeted to the earth somewhere. But of course, the Chinese government would have that on hush as we speak, or the powers that be would have that on hush as we speak too. Right? Because there's also rumblings and facts of how our own Liberal government has allowed Chinese pilots to train in Canada, as well as Chinese infantry and other dignitaries thereof too. So there's probably more coming from that as well. But I'll keep my ear to the ground on that there, Jay, especially for that too. GDR, the maker, Indian Ocean. Yeah. So that's the thing. Who's retrieving it too, right? Yeah. So landed in the
do you remember Danny Haiphong?
Oh, that communist you're telling me about?
Yeah. So funny thing is, I was on Twitter because that's what I do when I get bored and want to get in fights with people. I was on Twitter and I find it so funny. he posts these videos of like stuff. I'm pretty sure he's paid by the CCP, but allegedly, folks, don't want to get sued. There's a video he posted about like the Uyghurs like celebrating like their holidays and stuff. I'm like, this looks so. I could be wrong, but it looks so staged to like make the Chinese government look good, like because they're all celebrating their holiday. I forget what it was, but they're all like dancing and stuff like perfectly. It just seems kind of staged. I could be wrong, but a lot of the stuff, I find it funny that these communists, right, on Twitter and all this, somehow trust the CCP more than the US government. I don't trust the US government at all. I think that the US government's garbage and they lie to us constantly, especially the UFO thing is an easy one. Like they literally called anyone that would speak out about UFOs conspiracy theorists and all this, intentionally since like the 1940s. So the US government is garbage and they do much worse stuff on a daily basis with the CIA, all these operations they've done over the years. So they're definitely corrupt. But I find it amazing that the same people that don't trust US corruption are like, oh, the Chinese are just telling the truth, no big deal here. The Chinese are just, they're totally honest, totally transparent,
Well, that's the thing too. There's probably hidden secrets in our government vaults in regards to how many visits our country has had over the years too. So INWU 849. It's funny how Chinese pilots students are so close to Gagetown. Yes, and there's also a defunct RCAF base in the outskirts of Red Deer too, where the Rebel did a story on that about 6 months ago. So look up the Rebel. I think Ian Bexty did a story on that as well. Right, Chinese nationals training to be pilots at an old Air Force base. So, Julie Davis says too, we need to stop looking at the big institutions, including but not limited to government, and start looking at each other, build community. I agree. We need that basic unification again too, and that's why one of the reasons I do this show, ladies and gentlemen, is because I want people to get out and think for themselves again. It's because of you, my audience, and listeners alike, and the panel that I host every week. We can get these words out there and try to find some more common sense, some common ground again. It doesn't matter if you're liberal or conservative or green or NDP. It's just finding some common ground where we can live in our democracies and thrive as we should, right? So, but yeah, you're right, Jilly. Thanks for that comment too. So much appreciated. Please, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions for myself or Fred, please post them on here. We'll get to them as soon as we can. This is Fastball Sunday with yourself, or correction by yourself. Well, with yourself, yes, and myself, Crusty Canuck, and Fred Stockman. We had Chris Semchuk here with us earlier. He got called away, but we usually have 4 of us in this panel, and Daniel Mezei. I'm assuming he's away again on assignment with his work. However, every Sunday, 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, tune in to the Fastball Sunday with the above mentioned. So Mark Dite says, yes, we can take on the big institutions in our communities. Yes, we can. I remember many moons ago, I posted something on one of the Facebook pages about not filing your taxes. And of course, all the Rees came out, all the SJWs came out and said, oh my goodness, how dare you? That's so unpatriotic. How dare you?
Patriotic.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a dumb argument. I don't want to hear that. God.
Oh, just shaking your head like. And we're carrying on. So please, ladies and gentlemen, ask us anything you'd like to know too.
Liberals are people, and this is not to be rude, and I get that you, Chris, you're not a religious person, but I do think you have at least other things going on in your life besides politics, right? You have a job, you have a wife, you have a home, you have hobbies and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, of course. It's just part of thriving.
The trouble is that liberals don't really have anything else going on in their lives. Like if politics wasn't really I don't need to do this anymore. Like really, like it's nothing that's politics to me is secondary to like the other stuff I do. I have a pretty enjoyable life generally speaking. Like I have other things going on besides politics, and the trouble is liberals don't, because they don't have religion, they don't have like other stuff going on. They for some reason are okay with like fat pride and all this stuff. Like hit the gym, love. They have no personal responsibility, right? They believe the government should do everything for you. So essentially, they believe that government is God, and that's what they've replaced religion with. and they feel the need to, have their little crusade against the right wingers and all the, evil white straight men or something like that. It's so lame, really. How liberalism is such a religion. It's such a stupid religion. It's not left.
I would say it's turned into that too, because I was raised in a classical liberal household.
Yes.
Right. Meaning, okay, I may disagree with what you might say, but I'll fight for your right to say it nonetheless. Okay, you're not standing on a soapbox screaming nothing but pure hatred or bile or contempt for a group of people or for a gender or for an identity. Okay, we're screaming violent contempt, but not hatred for a lot of these leaders that make these terrible decisions. And for what? So whether they're trying to create a global conglomerate where Mr. Klaus Schwab can sit there and say, you will like nothing and do nothing, you own nothing and like it, to people who just don't really fucking care about what they're doing. They don't care about repercussions. The last thing they care about is their paychecks and their benefits and their portfolios. Okay. There's quite a lot of things I do outside of my show too. There's, I like being with my garden. I like gardening. I like creating things. I like writing short stories. I haven't published anything yet because I'm not at a point in my life yet where I want to share that with the world just yet. It's getting there, I'm a gun rights advocate. I believe people can have a gun. I believe people shouldn't have a gun. It just doesn't really matter to me. I don't care if my neighbors are dead against gun laws or for gun laws. It doesn't bother me at all. I'm not hurting them. They're not hurting me. It's a live and let live policy, a simple policy of classical liberalism. It's just now the liberal brand has turned into a shit show. It is.
I really wish more people would just act like adults and behave that way. But we've gotten to the point where that's no longer the case. And that's why I respect that you're a libertarian. I respect that Chris and Adam are kind of like more libertarian-minded people. But it's like, I see too many people around me that want to destroy anything like that, because they see live and let live people and they're like, no, you can't do that. You can't. Like they need to enforce their crazy ideology, which I could care less about. But when you're forcing it down my throat, it's not cool. So I disagree. Not with you, but with the people around me. That's like,
of course. Like, that's the thing. It's not a matter of, I don't want to tell anyone how to live their lives. I want people to live their lives to the best of their ability. I want people to go out and do what they want to do, right? Without hurting people taking their stuff. That's simple. Go to your parties. I don't care if you're gay. I don't care if you're straight. I don't care if you're bi or tri or pansexual, whatever abbreviation that comes up. Care about your religious background. You can believe in God, you can believe in Muhammad, you can believe in Moses. I don't care. If you're a staunch Buddhist, by all means, go out and live your life and practice your gospel, preach your gospel. Fine, okay? It's just the simple principle. And Jilly Davis nails it right here again. It's not really liberalism. It's communist socialism dressed up as liberal labor or whatever you want to call it. It's all a lie. Exactly. The liberal brand that I was taught from the time I was a child to being a young man was about what I just said. Classical liberalism. Now it's turned into you either walk this line or else. I remember seeing the dynamic change back in the 90s when gay rights were getting momentum and more gay people were coming out and saying, I love this. And all for it. I was all for it. I don't care if Bob and Steve get married. I don't care if Bill and Edna come out of the closet and want to change genders. Go for it. Okay. But don't make laws to tell me how I have to say things to you. Okay. Make laws to tell me how I have to address you. Okay. Because if that is going to become etched in stone, okay, well, I'm an ex-sergeant in the infantry. Then okay, if you want me to call you they or Zer or Zink, fine. You'll come to attention and call me sergeant. That's how I identify. You know what I mean?
So on the gay rights thing, not that I hate gay people, but I think it's unfortunately with that movement is it's gone a bit too far. And I would say that as a principled person, especially because I'm a Christian, but I just think that marriage should only be for religious people and anything else should be a civil union. So if an atheist wants to, I don't know, live with his partner or whatever, I think they should have a civil union. They shouldn't be considered married. Married is something God gave us, not the government. The government should not be involved in marriage. That's my
I think it's something we gave to ourselves. Just government stepped in and ruined it.
But government should whatever you think on God and religion, but I think that the government shouldn't be part of the marriage institution. It should be religious institutions to choose that. And I think anyone that wants to live with their partner should just have a civil union, no matter if they're gay, straight, or whatever, as long if they're not religious or whatever. That's how I view the world. You can call me, you can say whatever you want. Not going to change. You can't change that opinion for me. I'm pretty.
Nobody's going to change it, Fred. That's the thing. That's the thing you're listening to. But no one tries to change anybody. That's the thing.
Now, here's where it's gone far. Recently, I came across a story about the wanting to legalize incest. This is in Alabama, so get out of here. And also, that's disgusting. No, I do care. Okay, when it comes to that stuff, I do care about what you do in your bedroom, because that is vile. If you end up having children, they will be messed up. Like there's going to be some issues with them. Okay.
Mama said I had a fight for radio, so.
Oh no, I can't be like 40 years old and like, yeah, okay, I'll be like 40, 20 years from now. So I can't be like 40 years old and having like all these Forrest Gump stuff working for me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to tolerate that. That's not okay. There's no way anyone related to each other should be getting married or anything sexual. No, absolutely not.
I do believe in a clean gene pool. I do believe in a clean gene pool. It was quite common back in history that a lot of first cousins married, through European monarchies, what have you. And that created a lot of problems.
And especially it's going to create problems when it's your mum or your dad you get married to. That's where it's even worse. Your children will be so, and not to mention that it's grooming. It's probably grooming. I'll send you wait a minute. It was on the New York Post. I read this. It was this woman in this New York, upstate New York couple of a mother and a son that want to get married. That is disgusting. No, absolutely not. That is not allowed. I'm sorry. I become a fascist when this stuff happens. No, I'll leave it at that. I don't allow that. That's not cool.
No, I don't think it's a necessity. I don't know. I honestly, I don't know what to say with it. I disagree with it entirely, but
it's been taken advantage of.
Well, I'm just feeling a little.
Yes.
So please, ladies and gentlemen, feel free to ask myself for any questions. I'll give another few minutes before we shut this down for another successful Fastball Sunday. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck. With me is Fred Stockman. We had Chris Semchuk earlier. He had to get called away due to some back issues. And Daniel Mezei is not here. He's either on location or elsewhere. But please feel free to ask us anything you'd like us to know. Dave Hemmington says, we need localized slaughterhouses and farmers markets again in our rural areas instead of relying on these corporate plants. These lockdowns prove that in our area. Of course, yes, I'm familiar with your area too, Dave. There used to be quite the exceptional farmers markets in that area and quite the abattoirs, especially in Bruce County. Probably some of the best butchered beef in the province for sure. Oh my God. Okay.
I want to read you quick.
Okay, I'll let you read that quick, Fred.
This is nasty. Seriously.
Okay. And that's from the New York Post.
Yeah, so it's not like some nutty website, just so you know, guys. Okay. New York Post. Stupid ad. Consensual incest should be decriminalized, activists say. I love how they never actually say who the activist is. Anyway, consensual incest advocates are rooting for an anonymous New York parent who wants to marry their own adult child. Australian Richard Morris, who is pushing to change incest laws, he's probably from Tasmania. How much you want to bet? Okay, anyway. Incest laws in about 60 countries, disgusting. He said he supports the legal push in Manhattan federal court in such behavior between two consenting adults shouldn't be criminalized. He and other advocates have launched about 130 petitions, mostly on change.org, seeking to change incest laws around the world. Most have received little support. I wonder why. They've received little support. I can't put my finger on it. Maybe because it's unnatural.
I don't want to. I don't want to touch that.
Why would anyone support that? That is disgusting. Okay. We haven't moved. We haven't moved any mountains yet, he told the Post. Morris said he was inspired for those in consenting into ancestral relationships. He said after learning about a Scottish case, that's going to be gross, in which long-separated father and daughter were reunited and started an affair and were criminally convicted. That is disgusting. Not the criminal conviction. They should be criminally convicted. That's just, they shouldn't. Incest is disgusting. Fighting for true marriage equality is the right to do, isn't it? Morris said. It seems to be unjust as the laws used to imprison gay people. This is not on the same level of that. This is not on the same level of that. And the law used to stop people of indifferent races marrying. That is so stupid. These are your activists now. They're pushing for incest laws. When do we say no? Like, as a society, like, no, I'm sorry. I do kind of have a problem with the stuff that you do in the bedroom.
Well, Jay DeRose says every country is lowering the age of consensual sex. Yes, that's been kind of creepy. The past 15 years especially has been proof to that. Let's see here. Where is that other one? There's another question that was posted here too. It's just getting yes, and he also says too. No, that's not it. Yeah. Look at the movement to accept pedophilia as a sexual preference and normal behavior.
That's going to be the next one too.
Yeah, that's going to be. That's. I just no. No. I don't care. I don't care if you're a grown man or woman. You have a preference for kids. As far as I'm concerned, no.
You should die.
Yeah, a bullet, I think, is your punishment. Because honestly, really, can you honestly sit there and try to tell me that a little girl or boy can consent to that stuff? Really? Come on. You've messed around enough with this gender identity politic and other garbage. Come on. Like, really? To all these, okay, if any woke individual is watching this right now, okay, and cringing in your seat, good. Okay, this is how I feel about pedophiles. Right?
Simple enough. Yeah. Job.
Exactly. So I'm sorry, am I being too violent? Oh, okay. What do you think of an authority figure over a child is?
That's pretty disgusting stuff.
Yeah.
That's about as bad as it gets.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
There is okay, even in prison, criminals and violent criminals will literally beat up pedophiles. That's how much people hate pedophiles, or how bad pedophilia is. Okay, that just proves to you how vile that is. Even the most violent criminals will beat up pedophiles in prison. Okay, so it's obviously evil. Everyone basically agrees it's evil except the pedophiles.
Oh, of course, because they're portrayed as the victims. How? So how can a sexual preference not be a victimization? How can you sit there when you victimize someone and you call it a sexual preference? Interesting. Like I say again, folks, to the woke individuals that be watching this right now, this is my stance of pedophilia. Okay?
Yep.
This is my stance of pedophilia. That simple. Now it's just a toy gun. It's not a real gun. It's not real. But I think you catch my drift. Joe Davis says they can consent to being vaxxed without parents. Yeah, that's new legislation that's coming in through now too.
That's
without
weird.
Parents being allowed to know. What do you think is next on the agenda? They've all been at this for years, of course, controlling and harming people. Yeah. For Mark Dietz, yes. Crusty Canuck is traumatizing me with his guns again.
I traumatized.
Careful, Mark. Look, it's in 3D. Right? Would you like some more firepower? Rip and tear, Bruno. Rip and tear. It's a fire. It's a big, scary gun, Mark.
I've kind of traumatized you with reading that article.
Well, I'm a little angry now. I might have to go dig a hole or something to, find a place to bury a pedophile or two.
Yes.
Or just
like lock up an incest couple. Gross.
Canadian Sandy says many things need to go back to swinging in the town square for the punishment. I would agree to that. I don't care who does what to themselves in their own bedrooms or what they do to their ideal partners, but lay off children. Let kids grow up to decide for themselves. Okay. Let kids grow up to decide for themselves. That simple, right? But still,
even the Nazis locked up pedophiles. Like,
yeah,
even,
yeah, ironically enough, too. Joe Davis says, I miss Second City and John Candy. We need some real comedy again. Yes, we do. And to my audience out there as well, too. In the next little while, like I say, I'm working on some comedies. So not only you get the Crusty Canuck podcast of the Fastball series, you'll also be getting something called the Crusty Comedic. So pay attention to the community page and Facebook pages for updates on that, too. But yes, that will be something to go. So
you should get some
Canadian Insanity. People used to bring children to watch. They knew what the consequences in this world. In a way, yeah, I guess that's a good thing too. See what happens, little Billy, when you steal something. See what happens when you hurt somebody like that. Yeah, no, that's the thing. So, ladies and gentlemen, please get us your questions ASAP. I am Crusty Canuck. With me is Fred Stockman, one of our panelists on the Sunday Fastball. This is the point of the show now too, and thanks to Daniel Mezei for bringing this to my attention before. I like to get everyone's whereabouts, please. So please tell me what state or province you are in. Get us a feel of our audience there. Especially my European listeners and viewers out there too. Please chime in. Where are you guys watching from? JD Roger, Winnipeg. Greetings from Wainwright to Winnipeg, Jay. Nice.
Alberta, okay.
Calgary. Just down from the four-way stop. Okay.
Calgary.
Of course, Jilly's in Calgary, beautiful Calgary. Nenshi's Mecca. GDR, Northern Alberta. Well, I know it's a beautiful spot, Northern Alberta. Mark Dietz, Calgary again, yes. Canadian Sandy, Southwest Ontario, aka Upper Canada, yes. How far are you from London, Canadian Sanity? That parents have sole decision-making rights for children. It's time for government to mind their own damn business, stop bringing healthy childhoods. Yes, I agree. Yes, I agree. I am W83849. If Edmonton, near Wyerton. Yes, beautiful area. Great area of Ontario there, Buse Peninsula. So, beautiful area. Please, everyone watching and viewing, please tell us where you're from. You don't have to give us the exact town, but province or state and or country. Let us know, please. Ain't saying 20 minutes from London. Okay, great. So a lot of people from Ontario and the West here watching us this evening. So lots of people watching. And if you do feel like donating, people, please feel free to look at the bottom of the page there on the scrolling remarks. You can find me at crustycanuck.ca/donations. PayPal, any way you want to give. You can also join me on the Supercast, a Canadian-based company that's looking after Canadian podcasters. And for $5 a month, you can join that and get all of my podcasts censorship free, or join me on Podbean too. Just pay attention to my YouTube community page and Facebook pages, respectively, to get more insights and updates on what's happening in the Crusty Canuck world. So I would say father's rights need a lot of. Yes, I agree with that too. I am W849. I would agree to that as well, based on what I've seen from some of my comrades in arms, some of the fathers they have gone through just to get the twice a month visitation rights. It's pretty effing scary. New Brunswick, right on. Oh. Welcome. I am from New Brunswick. Yes. Please, ladies and gentlemen, please weigh in where you're from, where you're talking to me from. So, That local change we can do storm school boards and dare them to indoctrinate their kids. Well, see, that's the thing. When you look at school boards, it's funded by the Canadian taxpayer, that municipality, whoever's living in that area. It's the same thing in the States. Whoever funds that school board, everyone in that municipality, and that's the thing. You
Did you
want
see
to teach
that?
your kids how to read. You want to teach your kids how to flourish.
Yeah.
If they want to pursue mathematics, then you give them the foundation to do it. That's what everybody's always understood from teachers. They don't have time to sit and nurture you. You have to learn this lesson because we're trying to make you a functioning adult. Now they're turning kids into functioning unicorns and telling them you can fly. Yeah, so
I'm gonna look something up for you.
Okay.
I saw one really.
Julie Davis says, women need to understand that kids need their parents too. Exactly. And that is a dig at all the brand new feminists out there that think they're entitled to magical things just because they represent something. Well said, Jilly. Thank you. Mark Dietz says, exactly, Mark. I'm not going to say that because that's just disgusting. But yeah, I agree with you. Yeah.
Check this out,
Okay,
Crusty. I don't know if you play it people, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah, you got to put that in MP4 format before I put it on.
I don't know how to do that. Is it like
just look at MP4 converter? That way I can click onto it and click on the video feed. So, yeah. So, Jada Roger says, yes, there is time for everyone to abandon the education system and homeschool their children for the safety and best interests. Well, emphasis on the basics too, how to read, how to write, how to compose sentence structure. Now, I'm guilty of spelling errors. I own that, right? And to the individuals out there that have done nothing but harp on me because of my spelling errors, get a grip. There's worse things out there to slay than my misinterpretation of proper grammar. There's other things to worry about out there, ladies and gentlemen. But I agree, Jay. I agree entirely. So I would agree, Justin, too. Marxism is rooted in envy. Okay. But you look at Karl Marx and what he did. He grew up in a very, very well-to-do household, and he was looked after by other people. Okay. What exactly did he do in his own that was great, except write the Communist Manifesto? Right. So Marxism is based on a guy who had everything handed to him all of his natural life. So that's what it's based on. That's the thing. Colin MacArthur says, I agreed. I can't spell well either. Smart ass. Joe Davis, I was in the PTA. I was the only one who went to the school board meetings. They were awful even back in the 90s, 2000s. Yeah, true enough. I remember my parents taking part in it too, and this is going back at the 80s. They're getting sick of it. Colin MacArthur, okay, laughing. Yeah. My pappy taught me how to spoke, right? So
Mom always said.
That's right. These are my shoes. These are my dancing shoes. Right? Mama said a face for radio. Yeah. So.
And I ran.
Yeah. Billy Davis. Marxism is a codification of a lot of old theories brought back to the 1400s. Well, I can understand the collectivist idea if you got 10 people in a survival situation. Yes. But when you come to economics, no. Sorry, capitalism is where it's at. And I think we agree on that, Jilly, very well. So. Okay, insanity. When I was a child, my parents and half the town would be at the meetings raising hell if you tried that crap. Yeah, true enough. And I remember if I was a bad student, okay, the first thing my teacher would do would be calling my parents. And if my parents weren't there that day to have a conference, I had a conference when I got home. So, there were things that were done then that were effective. But it seems a lot of things now are ineffective because we have to worry about comfort rather than the reality of the situation. People forget that comfort is not a right. You have to get your own comfort, right? That's the thing. So, anyway. GD their maker. Yes. Flowery words, good grammar, correct spelling, irrelevant to whether someone is intelligent or wise. Same for dirty words. Too many of them look at them minute rather than the message. Yeah, exactly. It's the foundation of something. You could buy yourself a shitty house that looks really terrible on the outside, but as long as the foundation is good, you're good to go. You can do anything with it. The point I try to make is that, okay, yeah, I'll correct myself for grammar, because if your intelligence insulted because my grammar is imperfect, okay, I'll fix that. But did you get the point of my story? Did you get the understanding? Did you listen to the podcast? Did you watch the video? What did you get out of it? That's the important thing. The aesthetics, what did I bring forth? What did I submit for people's approval? If you can't look beyond a spelling error, then you're just missing the point. Shit simple. Yeah. Jade Roger says back then it was called an ass whooping. You damn right it was. Get that straight, Jack. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Well, ladies and gentlemen, give us a few more questions before we shut this down for this evening. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck. With me is panelist Fred Stockman. You can find Fred Stockman at Anchor FM. Find his podcast, very informative, very historically based and patriotic based. Check out Fred Stockman on Anchor FM today. So,
I haven't been on much lately. Sorry, guys. I haven't made many YouTube videos in ages.
And if you're looking for Adam, oh, sorry there, Fred. Yeah, if you're looking for Adam, you can follow him here at the heading in the bottom too, Mezei. He's put out some recent fast thoughts, so please check out his work as well too. He had a great video he did the other day about micromanagement. Very informative. I suggest you watch the fast thoughts or the Adam vlog. You can find him here at mezei.ca. Please inquire. Very, very intriguing conversation he had about micromanagement, especially in his business and micromanagement that I've encountered in my career in the military. So, let's see. Jilly Davis used to say too, my mama always used to say, just wait till your father gets home and we knew we were going to get the bill. Yeah, I used to get that too. Regardless of how cliche that might have sound, there's some truth to that. My old man used to have this vein that come up through his head. And when that would protrude, I knew shit was going to hit the fan. Now, the last time I saw that vein is when he was watching television and watching politicians. So, I think my dad made a very, very valid point when I was a young man. So, let's see. Jade Roger, you guys getting the vax? Fred?
I treat that question like, how much do you make at work, or like, what's your medical history? I'm not going to say anything. So, yeah.
That's a hard no from me. I'll just leave it at that. So,
I don't think anyone should be required to take it against their will. I'll just say that. I mean,
yeah, we have a choice. If you want the flu vac or not, you want this shot. Like when you travel to certain countries, yeah, it's required to get certain shots because of third world diseases. That's understandable. Okay. But with all the hoopla that both of our countries are going through, whether it's AstraZeneca, the Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, or the Moderna, all these speculations, there's no cold hard truth to it. So that's why there's tons of speculation. Okay. That's the thing. So I don't know.
Put it this way, guys, the fear mongering over it being required, ultimately what will happen is companies, once they start not making money from people not willing to get the vaccine and people just going somewhere else, they'll start easing up on that stuff. So if they require you to fly with the vaccine for like a while, don't worry. Some other airline will not require it. And I'm sure competition, because this is how capitalism works, competition will set people back that don't let most of the population just have their way and just do whatever they want. Okay, like if I go to Canada, I shouldn't have to take this vaccine. Let's be real here.
Well, I agree.
If I go to Australia, I don't need to take this vaccine. If I go to Africa, I should probably take the malaria jab, okay, because I could actually die from that, right? I get maimed. So yeah.
That's the thing. It's your choice. Thanks for coming out, Mark. Appreciate it. Cheers. Thanks for being part of it. You're welcome here every time we do the fastball and every time I do a premiere of my podcast. Thank you very much, Mark. Appreciate it. So let's see. Okay. I agree to that too. What does the government know that we don't? Let mom and dad decide. Let mom or dad or whatever group of parents, your guardians decide. Shit simple. I agree, Dave. Yes. And Julie Davis, again, coercion will get people vaxxed. You can't live without it. That's why they're pushing it now. Oh, you must comply to this. Yes.
Once we get back to like normal life, which we're starting to finally in most American states, they no longer require masks to do anything. So it's basically back to normal. Everything else is at full capacity. You can go to church now. You can go out to eat. Eventually, people are just going to forget about this vaccine. I really hope they don't try to push it anymore. I hope they don't like force you to take the vaccine and go get groceries. That would be insane. Like nuts. I fear medical dictatorship, of course. It's in the back of my brain, but ultimately, private corporations are going to make these decisions. It's not the government, you know? So the government can't really make these decisions for you. You know, they can't really force you to take the jab. There's only so much they can actually do. Sure, they can highly recommend you take it, but ultimately they can't, unless if they want to pin you down and put it into you, really. Like, they can't really do it.
Exactly. And there's going to be a shitstorm of brewing if they start doing that for sure.
Oh, I will not consent to it. And the booster shots is gonna make it harder, because if people have to get like a shot every few months to just keep yourself protected or whatever, allegedly, you know, how many people are actually going to want to consent to that? Because I know a lot of people that got pretty adverse reactions from taking the COVID jab, so they're probably not going to take the boosters. I know that for a fact. So.
Well, GDR, the maker, 12-year-olds have trouble comprehending their homework. What makes them able to comprehend complex medical decisions? Exactly. They can't vote. They can't go to the liquor store and buy a six pack and buy mom and dad a pack of smokes like they used to with a handwritten note, right? So what makes them think that, they make those decisions? And there's other things that are trying to dump on people too. 12-year-olds cannot make adult decisions. Really?
Not a very controversial statement, but apparently it is now.
Yeah, evil. Yeah. Eventually, the government will hope you forget about this vaccine. Well, if it's supposed to be a blessing in disguise, why they want us to forget it, right? So, I don't know, but yeah, well said. I am well said.
The reason why they're pushing it now is because they want to give Joe Biden a victory.
Well, of course, and they want to give Trudeau the victory here because there's an election that might be looming in the next few months as well. So they want to make them look like the saviors and the martyrs. Oh, we've given out this and we've given out that. No, CERB and SEBA, and the $1,200 a month that your fellow citizens have received in the name of looking after the lockdowns. And then what? Up here, like say in August, they might call an election for October. So the voting hub here in Canada is going to look at this whole thing like, well, he's done a wonderful job for us so far, giving us free stuff. Why don't we just vote yes for what we know? See, that's the thing. So, the politics. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to shut this down in a few minutes. So please get your questions in as soon as you can. So, myself, Crusty Canuck, and Fred Stockman, another successful Fastball Sunday coming at you, courtesy of the Crusty Canuck podcast. All right. Okay. That's the thing. How does an election get triggered here? Nobody wants to look like a jackass who triggered an election during the pandemic. Well, see, that's the thing. They all want to save their jobs and look like the good guys. That's it. Look what Jagmeet Singh kept saying. He wants to look like the good guy. He doesn't want an election because the NDP doesn't have a lot of coin. He also wants to look like he's some kind of savior to people in his riding. Okay. So, and the NDP or the Conservatives who brought in the carbon savings account, I guess that's their way of trying to sway Liberal voters to vote for a Conservative. Right? What a joke. So,
what's conservative about doing the same thing the Liberals were doing 5 years ago?
Exactly. It's about winning seats and keeping their jobs, right? Jeremy Jackson, Crusty, and electric. Oh, nothing's come back there, Jeremy, just yet. I haven't received an email yet, but I sent him an email directly to his parliamentary email address, so I'm waiting for confirmation. And I got to work my schedule out too to make sure I got proper time for the guy. Regardless of how I disagree with some of the conservative policies that have been going on in this country, I do admire his stance on what he's doing, being a very, very critical and outspoken individual when it comes to government spending, when it comes to how we treat the oil sands in this country, and basically how the government has treated Canadians over the past 6 years. So stay posted to my page there, Jeremy, on my YouTube and my Facebook for updates on that as well, if you can. So how bad does it get before the NDP and the Bloc say enough to join the CPC? Well, I don't know, because they're either playing the opposition for the sake of just the opposition, and they're just saying and speaking whatever to promote their mantras. I'm a little disappointed that Bloc was okaying C10 as well as parts of the NDP saying, okay, C10 is good. But they all forget it's going to affect everybody. It doesn't matter where you sit in the fence in our parliamentary system. It's going to affect everybody. So I can say, as a Westerner now, NDP and Bloc are irrelevant. I don't care what they have to say. And hypothetically, if I was elected and I did get into Parliament, I would be gracious to tell them where to go all the time. And I would use swear words too. And I might find it by the speaker for saying it, but I will do it. I will do the old fuddle routine like Trudeau Sr. did. And I will raise the finger and I'll throw books at them. So it's that simple. So
I think it'd be kind of funny to see some more common sense people in Parliament. One kind of interesting thing I think is so in US Congress, I don't think you're allowed to swear and stuff like that, but in Australian Parliament, I think you can. And the funniest thing is I think it's that lady Pauline Hanson, who, by the way, I don't agree with her much at all, but hilarious. The best one was when she showed up in a burqa, I think it was, and she basically snuck into Parliament. No one even checked her. She was in full black Muslim burqa, the beekeeper outfit or whatever you want to call it, and she basically just walked into Parliament. The security just waved her on. No one bothered to check ID or anything. It was amazing. That's the kind of stuff I want to see in Canadian Parliament. Just absolutely hilarious, totally savage. That'd be amazing. Awesome.
Well, it would be. It would be. We need to see some more blue collar rooted politics too, and what's going to be good for your constituents and your riding, not for the sake of the party. Yes, it's okay to be affiliated and part of a party, but let's look after your constituents as the parliamentary model was created for. That simple. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. So we will end this. It will affect them posting their own TV post. Yeah, we can get the parliament out here on the CPAC too out west, Sue. That's great. Thanks for coming out. GDR, NDP Bloc, anything that gives more power. Well, of course. Okay. There are the Canadian Liberals that are wearing a different pair of shoes. But like I say again, GDR, the C10, and all these issues are going to affect them later on in the long run as well, right? Someone's going to be knocking on their door and trying to take more money or tell them what to watch and see. And there's a lot of Quebecers I know personally that are gun advocates, and they love going out hunting and fishing. So when you want to regulate their lifestyles too, good luck, Chucks, right? So that's the thing. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if there's no more questions, Fred and I will end this. Another successful evening. Thank you, Jilly Davis, for coming out. Appreciate it, Jilly. Thank you. Justin Mears, thank you. Thank you very much. Sue Kozakowski, thank you. Thank you again for coming out. And everybody else who has come out to the FASTBALL Sunday, thank you. You guys are awesome. I'm very appreciative and grateful to all my audience out there, whether I do the podcasts or the live streams. Thursday FASTBALL would be postponed until further notice. I might change the name of that too, but please keep your ear and eyes to the ground in regards to update via my community page on YouTube and on Facebook. Keep you posted on what's coming up. Yes, like I've said, in the future, I'll try to be having a good talk with Pierre Poilievre. I sent him an email to his personal parliamentary email address there. I'm not getting any feedback on that just yet, but please pay attention to that. I'm going to have some more interesting guests hopefully the next few weeks. I'm trying to arrange something with Stephen Brule, video producer and confidant and friend and co-worker with Janice via Mango. So I'm trying to get that on the go too. And there'll be other guests in the near future as well. I've actually reached out to Kevin Sorbo on his page and other Americans. Yeah, I reached out in his page there a few weeks back, so no feedback. I might just, that would be awesome. He did a soundbite for me on the Cameo application. You might have heard some of my episodes, but I will try to reach out to him.
Sorbo has a savage Twitter account. Like the stuff he posts is so funny. I love that guy, honestly. He is great. That'd be awesome.
Oh yes, it'd be excellent. I hope so. But like I say, ladies and gentlemen, do what you can, help each other out. I have been Crusty Canuck. With me tonight has been Fred Stockman. Also, Chris Semchuk was here earlier, and in spirit, Daniel Mezei. Hopefully, next week, all four of us will sit and bang our heads and analyze American and Canadian politics and national and social issues as we should. Anything you want to say, Fred, before we head off into the cyber sunset?
Sure. Live the extraordinary, ordinary life. Be a knight to an age a few nights. Protect your mates and stay safe out there.
Right on. And like I say, too, be good to your friends and loved ones. Do what you can to help each other out to the best of your abilities. I know these times are trying, but we will find light in this manufactured darkness. And as always, humanity and merit wins the day. See us next week. I'll have a new episode up the Crusty Canuck podcast either Tuesday or sometime Thursday. But take care of yourselves and do what you can. Take care for now, and we'll see you next time. Take her easy.